Good afternoon, everybody, from Lawndale High School. It is the baseball game of the week on Lawndale CityTV Sports. Ocean League action where the Lawndale Cardinals are welcoming in the Hawthorne Cougars, and the Cardinals have a 2-6 record in the Ocean League and 0-8 for the Hawthorne Cougars. Overall for Lawndale, 10-11, 8-14-1 for the Cougars, who have lost 8 in a row. And Lawndale is coming off of a huge 1-0 victory over El Segundo. The first pitch of the ball game is in for a strike to Chris Phelps. It'll be Chris Phelps, followed by Brandon Brown, Jamal Evans, Max Riley, Charles Phelps, Andy Monterez, Daniel Sanchez, Manny Huerta, and Cesar Escobar. That's the lineup that was put together by Jeff Hines, and it's 1-1 to Phelps. Jesus Sanchez is on the mound for the Cardinals on senior day. Just missed, 2-1. And let's set the defense behind him. From left field to right field, it's Armando Novella, Josh Salcedo, and Miguel Osorio, I should say. Now it's 2-2. So Miguel Osorio in right. On the infield from third to first, Eddie Zambrano, Tyler Bonsky, the pitching hero for the Cardinals against El Segundo. Here comes the 2-2, and that just misses. 3-2 now to Chris Phelps. Over at second base is Jose Galan, Jesus Luna at first. Behind the plate, Ivan Argueta and Jesus Sanchez on the mound. Here comes the 3-2, and that's belted into right field. And back on the ball goes Osorio, and that's going to be off the wall, but there to get it is Osorio, and a leadoff hit for Phelps. A little bit of a lineup switch around for Hawthorne as Brandon Brown and Jamal Evans follow each other. As here you see the nice swing by Phelps, and just off of the glove and off of the wall. So Osorio just missing a great catch. The field just the opposite of Hawthorne. Here comes the first pitch, and Phelps looks like he was going, but it's 0-1 to Brown. Where the wind blows in from the ocean, from right field to home plate, or at Hawthorne, it's a jet stream, home plate out to left field. Sanchez keeping an eye on Phelps, who led off with a base hit. Hawthorne looking for their first Ocean League win. And the ball just getting a little bit away from Luna, but not far enough for Phelps to advance. And Lawndale looking to continue on the huge win over El Segundo last week. The runner goes, the pitch is high, the throw down to first is a good one, but in underneath the tag of Bonsky is Chris Phelps for the stolen base. Well, you can hear some construction going on in the background. You hear some beeps going on. There you see diving in, and a nice try on the tag by Bonsky. Now a runner in scoring position, and the count 1-1 to Brandon Brown. Fastball, and that's hit in the air to right center field. Over for goes Osorio, and that's going to hit the wall. Salcedo picks it up and throws it in, but Phelps only advances to third base, trying to be conservative. So Brown has the second single in 2 hitters. Coaching over at third base is Jeff Hines, the senior coach in the Centinela Valley. And over at first base is Oscar Robles, a former player of Jeff Hines. And stepping in the batter's box is Jamal Evans. So the ball I have to apologize. The ball was caught by center fielder Salcedo. So now there was just an appeal play. And they say that Chris Phelps, the umpires say that Chris Phelps left too soon, didn't tag up soon enough. So let's go back and see that play on the replay. We thought that the ball fell and it was a base hit for Brandon Brown, but it was obviously a catch for Salcedo. So on the appeal, Phelps is out 1-6, and let's look at the replay again. As he's watching the ball, and you can see the center fielder, but we can't see the catch. That would have been the most important part, to see if the catch was made. So Jeff Hines went over to James Brooks, the base umpire, who makes that call. Behind home plate, Donovan Johnson. And at the plate is Jamal Evans. Looks at ball one. So again, our apologies. There's 2 outs and nobody on now for the Cougars. Just misses on a check swing. Now it's 2-0. So it seems like for Hawthorne, if they didn't have bad luck, they wouldn't have any at all. Low and away, 3-0. Was talking to first base coach Oscar Robles' uncle, Chris Robles, one of the coaches for Hawthorne. He says, we've been in every game, most every game it seems like, a lot of games, been just looking for that one hit, that one play that can get us over the hump, and they haven't been able to get it. As Evans swings through a fastball, 3-1. Jesus Sanchez. And there is literally heavy machinery digging out. There's ball 4 to Evans. First walk of the afternoon, and in steps Max Riley, the cleanup hitter. So there's backhoes and trucks and street sweepers and hoses and everything else going on just literally to our left over the third base dugout, where it used to be the cafeteria and some meeting rooms in the kitchen. They're not there anymore. There's just a hole. So the improvements to Lawndale High School still happening. Sanchez chasing Evans back, and you can bet he's a threat to steal, but there's 2 outs. Sanchez deals, and that's up high to Riley. First pitch to him, 1-0. Hawthorne coming off of a pair of losses to Culver City, and that one's outside, 2-0. Losing 2-1 at Culver City and 3-0 at Hawthorne. And now coming out to talk to his pitcher, Jesus Sanchez, is head coach Jeff Prihody. So he's out there teaching him about his windup, seeing something in that windup that he didn't like. And maybe Sanchez will start finding the strike zone. Chris Phelps and Jamal Evans drew 3 balls in their count. Max Riley now and the 2-0 count. As Evans is over at first, there's a fastball in for a strike. So whatever Coach Berhody said, Sanchez listened. Fastball right down Inglewood Avenue. Sanchez looking over at Evans. Here's another fastball, and that's hit high in the air to center field. Coming in for it and making the catch is Josh Salcedo to end the inning. So no runs on a couple of hits, and actually one hit, and one man left as we watch the final out of the top of the first inning, where it's no score for the Cougars, and the Cardinals coming to bat against Charles Phelps when we come back. Bottom of the first, no score, and coming up to face Charles Phelps, the Cardinals will send Miguel Osorio, Isaac Galan, Armando Novella, Tyler Bonsky, Josh Salcedo, Jesus Luna, Ivan Argueta as the first pitch to Osorio is in for a strike. Jesus Luna followed by Ivan Argueta. Armando Hernandez is the designated hitter. And rounding out things is the third baseman, Eddie Zambrano. Charles Phelps takes something off of it, and it stays up 1-1. Well, we have a little extra noise because of the construction, but we can thank the situation. There's a ground ball over third base, but just foul. So it's 1-2. Is that the baseball diamond is to the west of the construction zone, so we're not getting dirt blown on us. Well, that's a lot of fun here. Time called, something going on in the Lawndale dugout. Osorio coming in batting .235. Fastball is outside. 2-2. Miguel, no home runs, but he does have a double and fouls this one back. Stays at 1-2. Miguel's a junior. Here comes Phelps' pitch, is a breaking ball, and that's sent foul. Look out, Old Ironside. Of course, Old Ironside is the Lawndale CityTV Sports production truck, and a curveball is up and in. Old Ironside's just turned 30. Well, that thing is taking more hits, I'll tell you. Fastball up and away. And Osorio is on with a walk to lead things off. So Osorio probably tipping the hat of what the Cardinals are going to do today to Charles Phelps, and that's wait him out. Isaac Galan, the second baseman. And coming in is the third baseman, Danny Sanchez, maybe expecting a bunt. And he does, but it's pushed up the first baseline, where it's picked up by Riley, and he tags the runner coming across. Galan is out. 3 unassisted on the sacrifice. So down to second base goes Osorio. So let's introduce you to the Hawthorne defense from left field to right. Brandon Brown is in left, Jamal Evans in center, Cesar Escobar is in right. And on the infield, Daniel Sanchez, Andy Monterez at short, Chris Phelps at second, and Max Riley at first. Behind the plate is Manny Huerta, and there's Charles Phelps. Pickoff move, and they might have him, and just underneath the tag is Osorio. So good play by Andy Monterez, and Phelps had him leaning the wrong way. Almost had him. Armando Novella waiting for the first pitch to him, a fastball up and away. Phelps looks back at the runner. Monterez is bird dogging behind him, and the pitch is outside. 2-0 to Novella. Coming in batting .280. He has 3 doubles. Fastball down the middle, 2-1. So they call him Mondo. Now 2-2 after fouling that fastball back. Pickoff play and no throw over to second. But that chases Osorio back. Breaking ball, and that's low, so it's now 3-2 to Mondo Novella. On deck is Tyler Bonsky, the shortstop. Phelps deals, fastball, just missed. So 2 walks and a sacrifice, and runners at first and second for Bonsky. Tyler batting .420 coming in. Very patient hitter, has 16 walks this year, 21 hits, and pops this one down the first baseline. Coming over for it and making a nice catch is Chris Phelps, the second baseman. So 1 pitch, 1 out. So after we say that Bonsky was patient, he pops up foul. Now let's see if Phelps catches it in fair, or yeah, that's in foul territory. So 2 down for Josh Salcedo, the center fielder. So is Salcedo, who hit the sacrifice fly to score I believe it was Ivan Argueta for the only run of the game against El Segundo, and that was in the top of the first of that inning. Osorio chased back by a spinning Charles Phelps. Salcedo just 157, but has scored 15 runs, so that tells me he's got a good eye and a lot of walks. This looks at this one for a ball. 1-1. Salcedo with 15 walks, but has also struck out 13 times. Phelps, fastball up and in. 2-1. Kyle Mitchell coaching over at third base for the Cardinals. Jeff Berhody, the head coach, over at first. Fastball. And that stays up. 3-1 now to Salcedo. So 3-1, and 2 outs. We'll see if the runners will be off. Osorio at second, and there's a pickoff try. So the Cougars were thinking the same thing, just trying to keep Osorio, the lead runner, close. Novella over at first with 2 down. Here comes the pitch. Fastball right down the middle. It's 3-2. Now the runners will be off. Huerta gets the pitch signal, sends it back out to Phelps. And Monterez chases back Osorio along with Phelps. So that Monterez bird dogging behind Osorio is creating a big hole there at short. There go the runners. The pitch is fouled back. So it remains 3-2. Phelps looks at the runners, deals a 3-2. Runners are off and swung on a miss. And strike 3. And down goes Salcedo swinging. And in the inning, no runs on no hits and a couple of Cardinals left on the bases. We go to the top of the second. There you see the fastball swung on and missed. No score going to the second. Okay. Top of the first, and the first pitch from Sanchez is lined into right center field. And a nice catch in the outfield. Sinking line drive, and Osorio on the run makes the catch on Charles Phelps. And up comes Andy Monterez. You see Jesus Sanchez, there's Andy, the shortstop, and that's lined down the left field line, foul. Here comes the 1-0 curveball, and that stays up. Next to the 0-1, now it's 1-1. Here comes the 1-1, and that's low, 2-1. Andy, a junior, playing for Jeff Hines. Fastball, and that's up and away, 3-1. He'll be followed by Daniel Sanchez and then Manny Huerta. Fastball swung on a missed. Monterez couldn't find that one. Now it loads the count up at 3-2. Fastball, and that's lined into left field for a base hit. The 1-out hit for the Cougars, and that's their second hit of the game. Fastball that was up, and Monterez knew what to do with it, sent it into left field. That'll bring up Daniel Sanchez. Sanchez squaring to bunt and lets his curveball go by, but it settles in for strike 1. Eddie Zambrano way in now on the infield grass for the Cougars, and taking a modest lead is Monterez, and Sanchez throws over. Just enough to let Monterez that he's keeping an eye on him. Sanchez Squares to bunt again. In comes Zambrano, and it's popped up as Sanchez brought the bat back, and it's 0-2. Well, that wind's really coming in off the coast now. Andy Monterez, the runner at first, and just outside. Argueta trying to sell that to Donovan Johnson, but he wasn't buying. So it's 1-2 now to Daniel Sanchez. Now Sanchez steps out. Jesus Sanchez, the pitcher. Monterez with a short lead, fastball low, and the snap throw down to first, too late. Now the count should be full at 3-2. We'll check that 2-2. 2-2. Fastball, and that's hit off the end of the bat. Could be trouble. Osorio coming up, and did he make the catch? Yes, he did. A beautiful catch. Third one made by Miguel Osorio, and Josh Salcedo isn't getting up. Now the grass out there, well, everywhere, is, well, it's had to be because of the water situation, the drought situation is pretty non-existent out there. So hopefully Josh just tripped and got the wind knocked out of him. Maybe found a gopher hole or something, or a covered sprinkler head, but Salcedo is up and trying to recover. So it happened on the fly ball, the line drive by Daniel Sanchez, and Josh Salcedo giving it a little test run. Let's try to see what happened as Osorio and Sanchez, and maybe Osorio clipped the right leg of Salcedo going by. Can't really tell. Or maybe the knee just hit a rock or something. But now the training staff coming out and taking a look at that left leg, or the right leg they're working on. So there may have been some contact by Osorio, or may have just been the contact of hitting the ground. There you see head coach Jeff Prahody out there talking to his players. Jesus Sanchez talking to his catcher, Ivan Argueta. So it's 2 down, a man on first, and Osorio with 2 nice catches in this inning. Oscar Robles talking with Andy Monterez. So the other league win for Lawndale was at Beverly Hills, another shutout, 1-0 win. And the umpires are trying to give Salcedo as much time as he wants to get loose again. as Coach Prihody talking to both umpires, Donovan Johnson and James Brooks, saying he's okay, we just need a little time. So it may be the ankle that Josh Salcedo twisted a little bit. And it could be a gopher. A lot of them out there in the outfield, that's for sure. And especially now with the grass being allowed to go away because of our watering restrictions. And Salcedo says he's well enough to keep on going. So now 2 down for Manny Huerta. Huerta, the catcher. Looks at a pitch up high for ball 1. So when that wind comes onshore, it's not very warm, that's for sure. This one set high in the air, foul and out of play. So Manny, just a sophomore. Now with the 1-1 count, as Jesus Sanchez looks over his shoulder at Andy Monterez over at first, being held on by Luna. Fastball, and that's low. 2-1. Should Huerta get on, Cesar Escobar is on deck. Ground ball, and that went off of Huerta's foot, and it should be foul. And it is called a foul ball by Donovan Johnson. So 2-2. Back to first goes Monterez. And Jesus Sanchez is Manny Huerta trying to shake the bees out of his foot. Sanchez looks over at Monterez. Here's the pitch, and swung on a missed, and down goes Huerta. And the Cougars on a changeup that was up out of the strike zone. So no runs on a hit. As we look at the pitch from Sanchez, he took something off of it, and Huerta couldn't find it. So no runs on a hit, and 1 man left for Hawthorne as we go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. No score. It'll be Jesus Luna, Ivan Argueta, and designated hitter Armando Hernan, and against Charles Phelps in the bottom of the 2nd inning. First pitch is in for a strike to Luna. No runs on 2 hits for Hawthorne. No runs, no hits for Lawndale. Phelps' next pitch is swung on a missed, and it's 0-2. Luna batting .240. And grounds this one to short. Moving over to his left is Monterez, and the throw is a wild one. It gets away from Max Riley, but not far enough for Luna to go to second. But it's an error on the shortstop, Monterez. And that'll bring up Ivan Argueta, who is catching today for the Cardinals. So Chris Phelps gave up a leadoff walk and stranded Osorio at second. And this is a bunt push right back to Phelps, and he goes the easy way. So 1-3 on the sacrifice. And that'll bring up the designated hitter, Armando Hernan. Armando with the big yellow bat. Curveball that bends in for strike one from Charles Phelps. Armando, one of the seniors on this team that was honored before the game. Hernandez, strike two. Armando batting .214 coming in. Looking for his 4th hit of the year. Fastball outside. So it's 1-2 to Armando Hernandez. Who's designated hitting for the pitcher today, Jesus Sanchez. Runner at second is Luna. That's fouled at the plate. Stays 1-2. Jesus Luna over at second base was on the error by the shortstop Andy Monterez and was sacrificed to second. Now here comes the 1-2 from Charles Phelps to Hernandez, trying to pick off, and that one goes into center field, but nicely backed up by Jamal Evans. Watch that pickoff throw, gets away from Andy Monterez. And Hawthorne lucky there's not a runner at third base. Fastball hit the other way, but right at the first baseman, Max Riley, and that's like almost like a sacrifice. 3 unassisted. But down to third base goes Jesus Luna. Gets the job done. So 2 down for Eddie Zambrano. Zambrano batting .147, has 5 hits in 19 games played. First real RBI opportunity. Osorio was at second in the first inning. This is the first base runner to reach third. So 1-0 now to Eddie, playing third base for coaches Prihody. Fastball catches the inside. Let's check that outside corner now, and it's 1-1. Phelps kicks and deals up high. So 2-1 to Armando. Check that, Eddie Zambrano. Should Eddie get on base, the top of the order, and Miguel Osorio. Just outside, maybe a little low. And it's now 3-1 to Zambrano. 2 down and nobody on. This could be another 1-run game. This is low. So Zambrano is on with a walk, and that's the 3rd walk given up by Phelps. Osorio comes in the bottom of the second with 2 down. He is 0 for 1 with a walk. Fastball, and that's sent foul. 0-1 to Miguel, who had an 8-pitch at bat against Charles Phelps, who's thrown a lot of pitches, 23 of them in the first inning. And now Jeff Hines wants to talk to his sophomore pitcher. So 20 pitches so far in this inning, 21 pitches. And Jeff Hines has had a say with his infield. And mainly pitcher Charles Phelps. And now they'll get back to work. So runner at third is Jesus Luna. Osorio looking to knock in the first run of the game. It's 0-1 to him. It's a fastball, and that goes off of, actually that hit Osorio. So Zambrano goes to second. So the bases are loaded now with 2 outs. Fly ball into right center field. Running over for it and making the catch is Jamal Evans. Well, he can cover a lot of ground out there. So the bases are left loaded by the Cardinals without the benefit of a hit. And 3 left. There you see Jamal Evans trotting over and making the catch right in front of Cesar Escobar. As we go to the top of the third inning, no score. Be the bottom of the order, the number 9 hitter, Cesar Escobar, then Chris Phelps and Brandon Brown facing Jesus Sanchez. And the first pitch to Escobar is low, 1-0. No runs on 2 hits for the Cougars, no runs on no hits for the Cardinals. And backing up, the center fielder is Josh Salcedo and puts it away for out number 1. Now the wind really grabbed a hold of that one and held it up for Escobedo, or Salcedo I should say, and puts it away for out number 1. That brings up the top of the order, and Chris Phelps, who had a base hit to lead off the game, right at line drive right over third baseman Eddie Zambrano, looking to bunt his way on as Zambrano was playing back. And now Eddie is going to play in on the grass. Jesus Luna guarding the line, so a nice hole, and 1-1 now to Chris Phelps. Actually, there's a hole up the middle of the infield as they're figuring Phelps will pull the ball. Tyler Bonsky is shading towards second base, and Phelps fouls this one back, and Eddie Zambrano's playing way off the line at third base, so it's 2-2. And Phelps sends it to short left field, and making the catch is Novella. So 2 down as the wind was playing tricks with that one. So Novella coming in, trying to figure out where it's going to fall, and makes the catch. So 2 down for Brandon Brown. So Brown, just a junior. Boy, is he exciting to watch. Fastball, inside corner. So it's 1-1 now to Brandon, who flew out to center field back in the first inning. And lines this one to left field, and it falls in for a 2-out base hit. So Brown takes a wide turn and goes back to first. So the Cougars still in business with 2 down. As Jamal Evans stepped in. He walked and was stranded back in the first inning. So 0 for 1. So Evans a threat to steal, but with 2 down, you have to wonder if he would go or not. And just underneath the tag of Luna is Brandon Brown, so he may be going. Let's watch his lead. As Evans waiting for the first pitch to him, Sanchez keeping an eye on Brown, and Brown with a big lead over there. His lead foot, his right foot, is even with the cut of the infield. Making a lot of noise, a lot of dirt over there. Trying to distract Sanchez, who throws high, and a nice snag by Argueta. So it's 1-0 now to Evans, and Sanchez really distracted by Brandon Brown. Sanchez throws over, and underneath is Luna. So you see how close that tag is. So that's how far Brown, and now this ground ball, and that goes into left field for a base hit. Now let's watch Brandon Brown. He's being held up at third base. The throw comes in and misses the cutoff man, Bonsky. But runners at second and third on the double down the left field line by Jamal Evans. So you see that just barely gets by Eddie Zambrano, and Hines picks up the runner. So putting Brown and Evans in the number 2 and 3 slot looks pretty good for Jeff Hines right now. Now let's see if his cleanup hitter, Max Riley, can knock him in. So it looks like they're intentionally walking Riley. So that's the second walk given up by Sanchez, and that brings up Charles Phelps, seeing if he can help out his own cause. Here comes the pitch from Sanchez, and a ground ball to shortstop. That's going to be a tough play. Bonsky throws to Luna. He digs it out. 6-3 on the putout for Tyler Bonsky. Let's watch this one. That's an all-league play right there. Throwing it on the run, and a nice dig on the other side by Jesus Luna. So the Cougars leave the bases loaded. And so we go to the bottom of the third, still no score. Back at Lawndale High School, no score in this Ocean League action, and crosstown rivalries continue. And let's watch that last play again as Charles Phelps, you see there on the mound, was at the plate with the bases loaded and hit a ground ball into the hole that Tyler Bonsky had to throw on the run. And then over on the other side, Jesus Luna had to dig it out. So a good play on both sides. as Armando Novella, Tyler Bonsky, and Josh Salcedo come up to face Charles Phelps. So both teams leave the bases loaded in their previous at-bats. And a nice pitch by Phelps. Swung and a miss by Novella, who walked back in the first inning. Swing and a miss. Phelps might have took something off of that one, 0-2. Novella playing in left field today. Not as busy as Osorio in right field. And this one's grounded just foul down up the third baseline. So it remains 0-2. Novella coming in batting .280. But the kid who's really lighting it up for the Cardinals is on deck, and Tyler Bonsky. Breaking ball, that stays up, 1-2. Here comes the pitch by Phelps. That's fouled back. Still 1-2. Foul tipped into the glove. Strike 3. So second strikeout for Charles Phelps in the fastball, and Novella just couldn't catch up with it. He did, just swung underneath it. Foul tipped into Manny Huerta's glove, and here comes Tyler Bonsky. Could he be all league? Well, there's a kid, Nel Segundo, who's playing shortstop. He's not bad. But Bonsky, who inside outs this one to Chris Phelps, and down goes Bonsky. 4-3 on the putout. But Tyler might get it on pitching if he keeps things up. Just a junior. But has been impatient. Going after the first 2 pitches, he's 0 for 2. So here comes Josh Salcedo, who struck out to end the first inning. Fastball, and that's grounded under the glove of Chris Phelps. And throwing, Cesar Escobar is playing in and threw out Josh Salcedo. So 9-3 on the putout. You see the ground ball just under the glove. Escobar charging in and fires a strike over first base to Max Riley. Ooh, 1-2-3 go the Cardinals. Andy Monterez, Daniel Sanchez, and Manny Huerta coming up to face Jesus Sanchez in the top of the 4th inning in a really entertaining game at Lawndale High School. Glad you joined us on Lawndale CityTV. First pitch from Jesus Sanchez is in the dirt. 1-0. Andy had a base hit to left field in the second inning. Sanchez, the pitch, and this one goes right through the wickets of third baseman Eddie Zambrano. So an error on the third baseman, first error of the afternoon for the Cardinals. And there he sees it right through the wickets, right through the legs. That brings up Daniel Sanchez, who's 0 for 1. Flied out to Osorio, who's made some pretty entertaining, and this is a breaking ball that was way up, and a bunt attempt is swatted at and fouled off, 0-1. But Osorio with a couple of great catches back in the second inning. Sanchez looking down at head coach Jeff Hines, gets the signal, see if the sacrifice is still on. And it is. Nice bunt. Sanchez only has one play, and Luna saves the day again. So 1-3 on the putout, and we'll watch this replay. And Sanchez coming down, throws it high. Luna coming down before Sanchez gets down there, so the sacrifice works. 1-3, and that'll bring up Manny Huerta with the runner at second, and Andy Monterez. Breaking ball breaks outside. Manny struck out swinging on a changeup to end the second inning. Another breaking ball, and that's fouled back. One and one to the catcher for the Hawthorne Cougars in their road grays. Who knows? This could be another 1-0 game for the Cardinals. But they've been on the winning side of 2 in a row as this one's down low. Here comes the pitch, and that's in the dirt. Nice backhand stop by Argueta. And it's 3-1. Got a nice crowd from Hawthorne. And a lot of these kids have played either for or against each other, growing up from the streets and onto the organized fields. On the outside corner. 3-2. On deck is Cesar Escobar. So Huerta being patient again, had a 2-2 count the last time up. And now James Brooks checking out the ball. And Jesus Sanchez wants a change. So Donovan Johnson looks at it and throws it out of play. Full count to Manny Huerta, 1 out. Runner at second is Andy Monterez. Jesus Sanchez, ball 4, up high. So third walk of the afternoon by Jesus Sanchez. Has one strikeout. That'll bring up the number 9 hitter and Cesar Escobar, but now coming out is Coach Kyle Mitchell. Maybe to talk some defensive strategy with only 1 down and 2 on. Should Escobar reach the top of the order and Chris Phelps comes up. So now Donovan Johnson wants to go out and break things up, but breaking the huddle first is Ivan Argueta, the catcher. And Cesar Escobar will come climbing in the right-hander's batter's box. Two runners on without a hit for Hawthorne. Sanchez out of the stretch, and a little breaking ball falls in for strike 1. Monterez on at second base hit a ground ball to third, right to third. Eddie Zambrano brought his glove up too soon. The ball went right through his legs for an error. And this one is fouled back, 0-2. Monterez was sacrificed to second by Sanchez, Daniel Sanchez, and Manny Huerta walked. A little breaking ball, and that's fouled back. Remains 2-1, 0-2, excuse me. Jesus Sanchez with Andy Monterez right behind him, and there's Escobar. Setting up outside is Arguete. Here comes the curveball, and it hit the spot, but Escobar wasn't buying. So now it's 1-2 to the Cardinal, or check that, Hawthorne Cougar right fielder. Fastball, and that stays away. So now it's 2-2. So Escobar, with his patience, now evens things up. Sanchez looks back at the runners. This is low, but it swung on a miss, and down goes Escobar. That one would have been 3-2. So 2 strikeouts now for Jesus Sanchez. That'll bring up the top of the order, and Chris Phelps. So the Cougars have had Sanchez on the ropes in 3 of the 4 innings. And he's worked his way out of it. This pitch is off speed and up high. Phelps 1 for 1, had a base hit to left and then flew out to left. Fastball, low. 2-0 now to Phelps. Donovan Johnson being very consistent with his strike zone all day long. And a really fun game to watch. Breaking ball stays away. Now it's 3-0 to Phelps, Chris Phelps. So it's 2 down. Brandon Brown would be next. Two out, 2 on for the Cougars. Here comes the pitch, and right down the middle, it's 3-1. Tyler Bonsky is keeping an eye on the lead runner, Andy Monterez, so there's a nice hole on the left side for Phelps to punch it through. And again down the middle is strike 2. So the runners will be off with the pitch at 3-2 with 2 out. And Phelps will be looking for something to drive. And Sanchez drives Monterez back to second. And it's ball 4. So that loads them up. 2 walks in the inning and an error. And that brings up Brandon Brown. The speedy left fielder, Jesus Sanchez, and has worked himself into a mess. An error and 2 walks has loaded the bases. Brown is 1 for 2 and lines this one over the second base bag and into center field for a base hit. Coming in to score is Monterez to make it 1-0 Cougars. So an RBI single up the middle for Brandon. And the bases remain loaded for Jamal Evans. So Brandon Brown just sending the pitch right back up the middle. Big swing and a miss. And Evans wanted a ticket for the soccer field for that one. But it's 0-1. Jamal had a double back in the inning, and now this one's hammered into left field, and this one's might clear the bases. It goes all the way to the wall. Huerta scores, Phelps scores, and coming to the plate and sliding in and scoring is Brandon Brown on the 3-run double by Jamal Evans, and that makes it 4-0 Cougars. And now Ivan Argueta is arguing. Let's watch the replay. Bonsky picked up the ball and just held on to it. Don't know what Ivan Argueta is. Maybe he took exception to the way Brandon Brown slid in. Do we have the Brandon Brown slide? Now Jeff Hines is talking to Donovan Johnson. So I'm sure Argueta took exception to Brandon Brown coming in. But Jamal Evans on an 0-1 count hammered Jesus Sanchez's fastball down the line. So now you see the umpire and catcher is Donovan Johnson trying to cool off Ivan Argueta. So there's that big hit that Chris Robles has been looking for, and there's the hit by Evans. And Max Riley stepping in, trying to keep things going for Hawthorne. Strike one. So a 2-out rally for the Cougars. And they bust out to a 4-0 lead over the Cardinals and Jesus Sanchez. Curveball, and that's hit in the air to left field. And coming over to get it is Novella for the 3rd out of the inning. But not before. There were 4 runs scored on 2 hits. You see Bonsky being called off, and the catch is made by Salcedo. So it's 4-0 going into the bottom of the 4th. Back at Lawndale High School, bottom of the 4th inning, it'll be Jesus Luna, Ivan Argueta, the catcher, and swinging missing is Jesus Luna, who was 0 for 1, was on an error and stranded at 3rd base back in the 2nd inning. Phelps' next pitch is hit high in the air to center field, and that's going to send back Jamal Evans, and he puts it away for out number 1. A nice poke. And Evans putting that away, but that wind really wreaks havoc on anything long, high and long. And Ivan Argueta, the catcher, who we talked to Donovan Johnson in between innings, the home plate umpire. Argueta took exception to Brandon Brown sliding in and just hanging around home plate. This is a curveball and tap to Monterez. Fires it across to Riley. But Donovan Johnson told us that if there was any possibility that Brandon Brown tried to go after Argueta, he would have thrown out Brandon Brown. He said he didn't see any, as you see the nice play by Andy Monterez, and Armando Hernandez, the designated hitter, stands in. Armando calls time. He's 0 for 1. But assistant coach of Hawthorne, Chris Robles, says we're just looking for that one hit, and they finally got it in the dirt. 1-0 to Hernandez. So 2 outs and nobody on. Chris Phelps looking to retire the side. This is up high. So it's 2-0. Chris Phelps doing a good job of keeping the Cardinals off base or off the scoreboard, but now goes 3-0 after getting Luna to fly out to center field and Argueta to bounce out to short. Fastball. Catches the outside corner, 3-1. That's right down the middle, and it's bounced over to Chris Phelps, who tosses him out. So 1, 2, 3 go the Cardinals again against Charles Phelps and company. As Charles Phelps pitches it, it's hit on the ground by Hernandez to Chris Phelps. And we go to the top of the 5th. So we have a swap as Tyler Bonsky now on the mound, and a fastball up the middle to Jesus Sanchez. Scoops it up and fires over to first. And down goes Charles Phelps, 6-3. So there you see there's Bonsky on the mound with the fastball, and Jesus Sanchez goes from the mound over to shortstop. And it's a 6-3 putout. And this one's hit up in the air to left field, and Novella takes care of that one. So 2 up and 2 down, and here comes Daniel Sanchez. Sanchez is 0 for 1 and a sacrifice, and looks at strike 1. So Bonsky, the lanky right-hander, has a nice compact delivery, and a fastball is low and away, 1-1. So Bonsky was the pitching hero against El Segundo, limiting that high-octane lineup. And Sanchez fouls this one, and Coach Jeff Hines gets it. But Daniel Sanchez doing what you're supposed to do. Even though it's foul ball, you still run it out. Curveball, and that just stays away. Bonsky looking down at Donovan Johnson saying, "Ooh, my goodness, that looked good." But it was outside, says Johnson. So here comes the 2-2. Ground ball, second base. Galan has it over to Jesus Luna, and down go the Cougars, 1-2-3 on that 4-3 putout. So Tyler Bonsky douses the Cougars after a 4-run 4th inning. Galan over to Luna. And we go to the bottom of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th inning we go, and the Cardinals will send up Eddie Zambrano, and then the top of the order, Miguel Osorio and Isaac Galan. To face Charles Phelps in his 5th inning of work. Fastball stays away. It's up and in, I should say. 1-0. Oh, that wind's coming in now. 4 runs on 6 hits for Hawthorne. No runs on no hits. One and one now. And look out. Zambrano has to dive out of the way of that one. Zambrano still running. Looking back out. Saw his life flashing before his eyes. So Jesus Sanchez goes 4 innings, gives up 4 runs on just 6 hits, strikes out 2, and now it's 2-2 to Eddie Zambrano. Charles Phelps pitching a whale of a game for the Cougars. Now Zambrano comes back out of the box. Eddie, one of the seniors on senior day, fastball down the middle, and it's hit the other way to left field, and going for it is Escobar to put it away. 1 down. So that'll bring up Miguel Osorio, who's been busy out in right field. Who's made some terrific defensive plays. Charles Phelps, fastball, fouled back. Osorio is 0 for 1, walked in the 1st inning, and then was hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning. Breaking ball in the dirt, and it's 1-1. So the 2nd inning is when the Cardinals could have broken through, and they had the bases loaded and 2 outs. And a changeup is in for a strike. 1-2. So Phelps mixing up his pitches very well today. Charles into the windup, breaking ball, hit towards third base, and that goes under the glove of Daniel Sanchez. So right underneath Daniel Sanchez's glove. And let's watch this one. That goes right under the glove, as Sanchez should have had it. So I have to give him an error on that one. So that's the 2nd error of the game. Sanchez has to shake that one off. And Osorio is a threat to run with only 1 down, and Isaac Galan up. He is 0 for 1 with a sacrifice back in the 1st inning. Flew out to center field in the 1st inning, I should say. In the 2nd inning, he flew out to center field. Fastball on, ooh, look out. Nice catch by Riley on the snap throw down by Huerta. One and 0 to Isaac. High fastball, and that's sent down the line, and that's a fair ball. That's the 1st hit of the game for Lawndale. Coming around 2nd over to 3rd is Osorio, and he's held up by Mitchell. Kyle Mitchell on the one-out double by Isaac Galan. You see coming over for it as Brandon Brown gets it against the fence and gets it back in a hurry. As the next hitter, Armando Novella, talking to his head coach, Jeff Prihody. So Phelps had sent 8 Cardinals in a row down and now gives up his first hit of the game in the bottom of the 5th. Look out. As Armando Novella steps in, 0 for 1 with a walk. So timeout's called as the Cardinals, only one Cardinal can be out of the dugout at a time. They're fluttering around. Tyler Bonsky on deck. Pickoff play, and back to second goes Galan, who just had the double into left field. Novella could put the Cardinals right back in this one. A fastball down the middle. 1-1 to Armando. Phelps kicks and deals out of the windup and not holding him on, or not out of the stretch, and this one just misses the outside corner. 2-1. Took something off of it and it stays up. 3-1 now to Novella. And Charles Phelps is in danger of loading the bases for Tyler Bonsky. There you see the runner at third, Osorio. Runner at second is Galan. 3-2 to Armando Novella, and now it's ball 4. So now comes Bonsky. And that's the 4th walk of the game given up by Phelps. And now Jeff Hines might have seen enough from Charles Phelps. He hasn't gotten the ball yet. Just going over some strategy. I mean, in all of this, second time the Cardinals have loaded up the bases against Phelps. He's only given up 1 hit. And Donovan Johnson going out to break up the powwow on the mound. So Phelps will stay in the game. Try to pitch out of this mess, try to get a double play. But he has to do it against one of the toughest hitters in the Ocean League. And Tyler Bonsky coming in, batting .420 into the game. Excellent strikeout to walk ratio. He's only struck out 5 times. And his walk 16. Little curveball that bends in for strike 1. Bonsky with just 1 extra base hit, a double, out of his 20 hits. Pops this one up, but it goes foul. 0-2 to Bonsky. Tyler making a great play going into the hole to throw out a runner on the run. Now he's pitching in relief of Jesus Sanchez. This one's low and away, 1-2. Tyler is 0 for 2. Popped out foul to second base and then grounded out 4-3. Fastball, and that's pulled foul. Kyle Mitchell with the play. Mitchell coaching at third, and Jeff Brahody, the head coach, coaching at first base. 1-2. Runners at second and third. Curveball swung on him, missed, and down goes Bonsky. And that was a frustration right there, as that pitch was way out of the strike zone. Third strikeout of the afternoon for Phelps. And that brings up Josh Salcedo. So 2 outs, bases loaded. Curveball is outside. Osorio at third, Galan at second, and Novella at first. Phelps looking to get out of it. Now it's 1-1. Eddie Zambrano started off the inning by flying out to Escobar in right field. Then Osorio, Galan, and Novella reached base. Curveball. Johnson says it's strike 2, 1-2. Osorio was on the third baseman's error. Then the first hit of the game by Galan, and then Novella walked. Here comes the 1-2, and that's curveball, and that's hit into the hole between right where the shortstop should have been, and that moves everybody up 90 feet. Coming in to score is Osorio to make it 4-1. Moving up to third is Galan. Novella to second on the RBI single by Salcedo. That brings up Jesus Luna. So Andy Monterez, the second baseman, was holding on the runner at second at the time, Galan, and that left open a huge hole, and Salcedo found it. Fastball, nice stop by Matty Huerta, and it's 1-0 to Jesus Luna, who is 0 for 2, was on an error back in the second inning, and flew out to center field back in the fourth. Fastball, and it's strike 1, 1-1. So the error and the walk this time come back to bite Phelps and the Cardinals. Up high, 2-1. But the Cougars still with the 3-run lead. Low, nice stop again by Huerta. Now it's 3-1 to Luna, and there's nowhere to put him. So it's 3-1. Let's see if Luna is taking on this. Phelps out of the windup. Right down the middle for strike 2. So 3-2 with 2 down, bases loaded. Yeah, and the Cardinals will be taken off on the pitch. Luna waiting for Phelps' pitch, fastball, and that's smashed foul. So remains 3-2. Everybody goes back. Galan to third, Novella to second, Salcedo to first. Phelps pitching to Luna. There go the runners. Here comes a fastball, low. So an easy RBI for Salcedo. In comes Galan to make it 4-2. Novella moves down to third, Salcedo to second, and Luna with a walk and an RBI. That'll bring up Ivan Argueta. So Luna comes out of the ball game and a pinch runner comes in. Didn't get his number as he came across. Maybe we get some help from the camera people. Pitch is up high from Phelps, 1-0. So it's 2 down. Strike 1. Ground ball to third base, and Daniel Sanchez goes the easy way over to third, and that ends the inning, but not before a couple of runs come across on 1 hit and 3 are left. As we're looking at the hard ground ball to Daniel Sanchez, he makes sure that one stays in his glove to force Salcedo at third base, 5 unassisted. And we go to the top of the 6th. Back at Lawndale High School, it's 4-2, and Tyler Bonsky with a fastball. He is quick. Manny Huerta said, hey, well, look back at Donovan Johnson, said it sounded outside. It'll be Huerta, Escobar, and Chris Phelps against Bonsky in his 2nd inning of work. In the dirt, 1-1. Curveball, and that's sent into right field, and that's gonna, nope, look out. Out at first base is Huerta after he collided with first base. Osorio with another great play, 9-3 on the putout, so turnabout's fair play as Osorio catches it and comes up throwing. And Huerta knew it was going to be close, so he fell on first base, but was out. Strike 1 to Escobar. So the Cardinals were victimized by Cesar Escobar throwing out Josh Salcedo from right field. That's, so far, that's the play of the game. Osorio with his 3rd terrific play of the game. Strike 2, 1-2. Well, Manny Huerta is the catcher, doesn't run as fleet as, say, Escobar or Chris Phelps, but his value really showed in the bottom of the 5th inning, making some good stops. Still 1-2 to Escobar. So you don't know how many runs that Escobar, or Huerta I should say, may have saved by sacrificing his body by keeping the ball in front of him. Seventh, check that, 6th pitch of the at-bat, and a curveball right back to Bonsky, and he underhands it over to Luna for 2 down. 1-3 on the putout. That'll bring up the top of the order and Chris Phelps. Nice little curveball by Bonsky. Gets the ground ball out of it. Shortstop Chris Phelps, the senior, watching his baby brother pitching a gem against the Cardinals, and this one is high and tight, 1-0. Chris 1 for 1 with a walk and a run scored in the 4-run 4th. Fastball just low. 2-0. Donovan Johnson, the home plate umpire, calling a terrific game today. That strike zone has been consistent all day long, like he's held up a rectangle there. And Phelps trying to drag bunt his way on with Eddie Zambrano playing off the line. Now Phelps has line drive single to left and is flown out to left, but still the Cardinals are playing him to pull the ball. Fastball low. 3-1 now to Phelps. Fastball, and that's grounded to second. Picked up by Galan and throw him out. So 1-2-3 go the Cougars again as Tyler Bonsky has really put the kibosh on the Cougar bats. Nice pickup by Galan, gathers it in and throws it over to Jesus Luna. Back here at Lawndale High School, we got a whale of a game. It's 4-2 in favor of the Cougars. And we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, where it's 4 runs for the Cougars on just 6 hits and 2 errors. 2 runs on 1 hit for the Cardinals. Curveball by Phelps, and that stays up high to Armando Hernandez, who've left 8 on base. 92 pitches make that 93 now for Chris Phelps. Fastball, and that's sent high in the air to left field, and actually it falls in for a base hit. So 2nd hit of the game for the Cardinals. That'll bring up Eddie Zambrano, and we have actually Eddie Zambrano is going to be pinch hit for by Sal Mercado. So he's pinch hitting here in the bottom of the 6th. And Armando Hernandez, we'll see if he's going to be a stolen base threat or not. Mercado batting .231. So Phelps wants to make sure that Hernandez knows that he is a stolen base threat. Phelps' first pitch to Mercado is high and inside, 1-0. So Mercado represents the tying run here in the bottom of the 6th. Fastball right down the middle, 1-1. Phelps was sailing along, had retired 8 in a row. Ground ball, and that's in the hole. And again, Andy Monterez shading towards second, and the first 2 runners are aboard via base hit. Right to the hole there. But Andy Monterez shading towards second base, and that left the hole open, and he's playing way over towards second base and leaving a huge hole between Daniel Sanchez and Andy Monterez. That brings up the top of the order, and Miguel Osorio, who started things off with a ground ball to Sanchez that went under his glove for a base hit. Throw goes back over to second to Chris Phelps, his older brother, and back in is Hernandez. Osorio's been on all 3 at bats, but doesn't have a hit. Walked in the first, was hit by a pitch in the second, and was on an error and scored in the 5th inning, excuse me. So Monterez running all the way down to third base, and now he's again shading at second, leaving a huge hole at shortstop. Now it's 2-0 to Osorio. Strike one. 2-1 now to Miguel. Miguel, also a senior, got a rose before the game on senior day. Runner at first and second. And back is Hernandez. Nobody out. Tying runners over at first base. So that's the guys they should be concentrating on. Fastball swung on and missed. 2-2. Lawndale trying to win their third Ocean League game. Hawthorne trying to get their first and break an 8-game losing streak. Fastball swung on and missed, and down goes Osorio. Fourth strikeout for Phelps. And that brings up Isaac Galan, the second baseman. And he got the first hit of the game back in the 5th inning for the Cardinals off of Charles Phelps. Ground ball off of Sanchez and into left field. And that's going to load up the bases. That one just ate up Sanchez. Looked like it was off the end of the bat. And just took a bad hop and off of Sanchez. So one out, bases loaded, and that brings up Armando Novella, and Tyler Bonsky is on deck. Fastball, ground ball to the hole. Monterez picks it up, fires to second for one. They get the runner at second base, but the run comes in to score and makes it 4-3. .64 on the putout. On the fielder's choice is Novella. That brings up Bonsky. So tying run is on third base, and strike one to Bonsky, who struck out swinging back in the 5th inning. Tyler standing right on top of the plate, slightly open stance. Phelps driving back Novella. So fielder's choice and a run batted in for Novella makes it 4-3. There goes the runner. And the throw was a lollipop by Huerta. And Chris Phelps, good thing he was not covering at second base, and he picks up the ball. So over at second base on the stolen base is Novella. And that one just missed. So it's 2-1 now to Bonsky. Just inside, now 3-1. So the tying run is at third, the go-ahead run at second. Let's see if Bonsky's taking or not. Nope. He shoots this one up to the right fielder, and Escobar puts that away. So an excellent chance for Bonsky and the Cardinals, but they can't get through on Chris Phelps again. But they do come up with a run on 3 hits and leave a couple as we go to the top of the 7th inning after Escobar's catch, with Hawthorne hanging on to the lead. Brandon Brown, Jamal Evans, and Max Riley taking on Tyler Bonsky in his third inning of work, check that. Came on in the top of the 5th, and the fastball. And that's high and away to Brandon, who is 2 for 3. Fastball, and that's bounced towards the Lawndale dugout. So it's 1-1. So Brandon, one of his hits was an RBI single back in the 4th inning in the 4-run 4th for Hawthorne. Just outside, 2-1. Then Brandon eventually came around and scored on the bases clearing double by Jamal Evans, who's on deck. So taking something off of it was Bonsky, and Brown couldn't find it, so it's 2-2. Fouls this one back, remains 2-2. So Bonsky came on in the top of the 5th. All he's done is retired the first 6 batters he's faced. Jesus Sanchez going up the first 4. This one's outside, loads it up at 3-2. So Jeff Hines coaching over at third base. Kind of swung on a missed, and down goes Brown. Couldn't find that fastball in the outside part of the plate. That's the first strikeout for Bonsky. And that's the 7th Cougar in a row set down by Bonsky. That'll bring up Jamal Evans. So the Cougars haven't had a hit since the 4-run 4th. Curveball, and that just stays inside. Evans is 2 for 2 with a walk. 2 doubles to left field, one of them a 3-run double. That's the difference in the game. And that one took a bite out of Argueta. So Donovan Johnson doing Argueta a favor and trotting the ball out to Bronski. So it's 1-1 to Jamal. One-third of the exciting outfield, and a nice curveball by Bonsky. And Evans can't come up with it. So didn't get to see that El Segundo Lawndale game, and Bonsky put the collar on the Eagles. Another curveball, and that is taken by Evans, 2-2. So now I see why El Segundo couldn't get a run across against Bonsky. Fastball outside, and it's 3-2. As the Cougars are looking for their first hit off of Tyler. And Bonsky looking for a second strikeout, but there's a ground ball just underneath the glove of Zambrano. Or is that Mercado still out there at third base? We'll have to catch his number 2. So that's still Eddie Zambrano at second base. So first hit of the game off of Bonsky. And that'll bring up Max Riley in the top of the 7th. Bonsky throwing over to Evans, who is a threat to steal. And with these Cougars looking for some insurance, might send Evans, who's being held on by Luna. Inside to Riley. Riley's over 2 with a walk. Was intentionally walked back in the 3rd inning to load the bases, and then Charles Phelps grounded out to shortstop. Fastball, and that catches the knees. 1-1. A nice pitch by Tyler. So Evans almost ran into it, and did they get him? Yes, they did get him. They pick him off. So Bonsky has pretty much taken the Cardinals and put him on his shoulders as they get the speedy Jamal Evans, and yep, look at that, Jesus Luna with a nice tag. So it's a pickoff, 1-3. So now it's 2 down, and a curveball called strike 2. So it's 1-2 to Riley. Now Bonsky can concentrate just on Max. So the base hit and base runner are erased on the pickoff. And here comes the 1-2 to Riley, and that curveball stays up. Here comes the 2-2, and that's a fastball fired low. Counts loaded up to Max. 3-2 with 2 down and nobody on in the top of the 7th. Up by a run. That's sent in the air. And just in foul territory is Jesus Luna for the 3rd out. So nothing coming across again as Bonsky facing the minimum. Just 9 batters faced by Bonsky as we go to the top of the 7th and last call for the Cardinals. Last call for the Cardinals, and Salcedo sends a line drive into right field on the first pitch from Charles Phelps, and Escobar puts it away. 1 down, and that'll bring up Jesus Luna, followed by Ivan Argueta. 4 runs on 7 hits and 2 errors for Hawthorne, and 3 runs on 4 hits and 1 error for the Cardinals. Charles Phelps going all the way, swung on and missed by Luna. And Luna has been playing a good game at first base. So the fastball inside, 1-1. 4 strikeouts, 4 walks for Charles Phelps, and stepping out is Luna. In a terrific game, probably one of the best crosstown rival games we've had here in a long time. 2-1 now to Luna. Curveball is low and away. Now 3-1 to Luna. Phelps had no hit the Cardinals until the 5th inning. And that's low. So 5th walk given up by Phelps. And that'll bring up Ivan Argenta. Looks down at Coach Perhotti, Coach Perhotti. Coaching down at first base, flashing the signs, fastball on the outside corner, strike one. So now Luna represents the tying run over at first base, being held on by Riley. Fly ball into short right field. Brandon Brown coming in for it and puts it away before the wind carries it. So it's 2 down. Armando Hernandez, the designated hitter, coming up next. And Brown making a good play on that one. With that onshore wind, every fly ball can be an adventure. So 2 down for Armando Hernandez, who is 1 for 3. Had a single back in the 6th inning and scored, led off the 6th inning. Here's the 0-1. Check that now. It's 1-1. Hernandez bounced out the first and second before he singled. Fastball on the outside corner. And it's match point for the Cardinals. 1-2 to Armando Hernandez with 2 down and a runner at first. Charles Phelps looking to go all the way for the first Ocean League win for Hawthorne's Cougars. Curveball outside. Jesus Luna over at first base on a walk. Phelps going all the way. Bottom of the 7th. 2-2 is the count to Armando Hernandez. Hawthorne looking to break the goose egg in the Ocean League standings, and a curveball foul back. And I lost power. So it remains 2-2. And here comes Phelps' pitch. Over at first base is Luna, and time called. As stepping out is Armando Hernandez. Two and two. Charles Phelps looking to go all the way for the Cougars. Here comes the pitch. It's high. 3-2. So the runner, Jesus Luna, will be going with the pitch with 2 down. Phelps looking to get the first win, going all the way for the Cougars, swung on and fouled back. So it remains 3-2. So we'll set it up again as Jesus Luna goes back to first base. He walked, but there's 2 down. Then a 3-2 count to Armando Hernandez, bottom of the 7th. Phelps going all the way, swung on and missed. Strike 3. Down goes Hernandez, down go the Cardinals, and the first win in the Ocean League for the Hawthorne Cougars. And Charles Phelps, just a sophomore, gets the win for the Cougars, 4-3 over Lawndale. What a game it was, that's for sure. 3 runs on 4 hits for the Cardinals and 1 error. And let's go take a break, and we'll come back right after this. An exciting win for the Hawthorne Cougars, a big 4-3 win over the Lawndale Cardinals as the Cougars get their first Ocean League win, 1-8 in the league, and Lawndale falls to 2-7 and 10-12 overall. The Cougars, I should say, are 9-14 and 1 and snap an 8-game losing streak in the process. 4 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors for the Cougars. 3 errors, 3 runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Cardinals. The winning pitcher was Charles Phelps. Charles is also our Hawthorne player of the game. And for the Lawndale Cardinals is Tyler Bonsky. He's the Cardinal player of the game. He came on in relief of Jesus Sanchez and completely shut down the Cougar offense for 3 innings. And then our tip of the hat goes to Jamal Evans, the left fielder, the center fielder, for the Cougars, who had the big 3-run double back in the 4th inning, and that was the winning hit of the game. So congratulations to all of those players and all of the players on Hawthorne and Lawndale for putting on a terrific ball game here. 4-3 the final score. That's going to do it from Lawndale High School for the terrific crew, the 3-time Star Award winning crew, and Tom Strickfaden leading the way. I'm Lou Stowers telling you once more the final score from Lawndale High School. The Cougars 4, the Cardinals 3. Until next time, so long.